If you like the sweet science, get ready to talk boxing on the Gloved Fist podcast with top boxing writers Frank Latirzo and Jack Hirsch. Frank, a former amateur boxer out of Philadelphia, writes for NY Fights and can be seen on the Boxing Channel. Jack, an amateur boxer who competed in the New York Golden Gloves, was a 6-term president of the Boxing Writers Association. And now, here's Frank Latirzo and Jack Hirsch.
And we are back. Welcome to Gloved Fist. My name is Frank Latirzo, former writer, part to full-time observer, joined by Mr. Personality himself, former 6-term president of the Boxing Writers Association of America. Jack, we had a word count last week. You had 16,471. I had 400 words. It's all yours, Jack. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, a lot of my words just didn't come to fruition. I want to give you a lot of credit, Frank, to start the show. I'm talking about the Usyk fight against Daniel Dubois. Like, let me just say it off the bat. You called it perfectly. I thought Dubois was a serious threat. I picked Usyk to win, so I don't want to hear anyone tell me that I picked the wrong guy to win. But I thought it was going to be a tough fight. I thought Usyk was going to win 8 rounds to 4. He would come on the last few rounds of the fight and take over. But I thought Dubois was a serious threat, even though I picked Usyk. You had no such concern, Frank. None at all.
Let me ask you this.
You thought Usyk was a virtual lock, that he was so superior. And you turned out to be right, and I turned out to be wrong. Credit to you.
Jack, let me ask you this.
Oh, he didn't count them. Oh,
you picked Usyk, okay? But you thought there was a chance that Dubois could make it a fight. What I want to know is
actually even
okay. But because you thought, Jack, some friends of mine who hold an opinion I value, I know a couple of them. They bet on Dubois getting 3-1, and I was actually thinking about holding a couple of the bets, but I didn't. However, they were thinking that Usyk at 38 might have one foot on the other side of the hill, and that Dubois had improved over the 2 years, 3 fights that he had since they last fought. So my question to you is, was it more because you thought Usyk was slipping, perhaps? Or did you think that Dubois would draw from the last fight and step up?
I thought Dubois had gotten so much better. That was the primary reason. It wasn't that I thought Usyk was slipping. I keep this in mind. Usyk has been in highly competitive fights as a heavyweight. If we throw out his first fight with Dubois, he had 2 hard-fought fights with Joshua in which he won the fights in the later rounds, Frank. Same thing against Tyson Fury. He won the fights in the later rounds. And even Derek Chisora, and it's amazing on reflection, fought him a close fight, but Usyk came on late in the fight. That's his method of operation. And I think that was going to be the case again. I thought Dubois, who got basically dominated in the first fight, outside of the one controversy at a low blow, and I don't even want to go there with that on this show, but I thought he'd improved to the point where he hit his peak. He was primed mentally, physically, and was in the perfect place. And the only reason I picked Usyk to win, I thought at the end of the day, he was just a little better, no matter how much Dubois had improved. But I didn't have absolute confidence that Usyk was going to win. I thought he'd win, but there wasn't that certainty, the type that you had, certainly.
My thinking was Usyk is that good, maybe great, and Dubois he's a guy that when the going gets tough, and I'm not going to call him a quitter, but when the going gets tough, I just don't see him as a guy that has the next level. And I think that's where, the difference between the great and the near greats. Jack, Usyk checks every box. If you look at his style, He's like an Ali or a Holmes where he can adapt to all styles. He's in great shape. He does a lot of things to keep you guessing and busy and occupied. And when you're doing that and trying to get a read on him, he's hitting you, he's setting you up, he's hitting you from different angles, and he's very, very confident. And I thought the biggest thing in that fight was one guy was going in certain, I'm winning the fight. And I think the other guy went in thinking, if things break my way and I really push, I might pull it out. I just think that's the difference.
Well, Dubois talked confident. He looked confident. But the old axiom, everyone has a plan, until they get hit. I think once he was in the ring with Usyk, and it was a reminder of the first fight, him thinking, wow, this guy is good. He's great. I'm in for a tough evening. Dubois went in probably thinking, I could knock him out early. I'm going to take command. I'm going to show him who's the boss. I'm much better than I was before. And then the realization came in about he's in with the same Usyk who dominated him before. One quick thing, Frank, what we didn't say in the beginning of the show, for anyone listening, stay with us for the full show because we're going to have a special guest later, Teofimo Lopez Sr. and maybe Jr., okay, as well. Senior's the trainer of the fighter, Teofimo Lopez Jr., and we expect them on later on this show, at least Teo Senior and maybe Junior. So stay with us. But back to the Usyk fight. We were talking a little before the show, and I said I wanted to save it for the show. You were talking about Usyk's ultimate place in history, and you were saying something, correct me if I'm wrong, to the effect, he's never going to quite be rated on a par with the Alis, the Joe Lewises, the Larry Holmes. He's going to be maybe, a tier below. Now, if he retires now, that's the case. But I'm telling you, Frank, all of a sudden the realization hit in after he stopped Dubois. Usyk can continue to beat anyone in the heavyweight division for the next 3 years. There's no one in sight who could beat him. The closest would be Tyson Fury. The closest. The only one I'd give a chance to. And even then,
he'll never see the day where he'll beat Usyk.
I don't think so, because the best version of Tyson Fury who could show up against Usyk going forward, the very best version, we've already seen. We've already seen that he's not going to do any better against Usyk.
You could make a case the best Fury was in 2015. One thing, Jack, before I touch on what you say, I do think when Dubois shoved Usyk at one of the press conferences, I think that was a mistake, because I think even though he doesn't talk like a Tyson or a tough guy, I think some of these easy, laid-back going guys, and I know them, some of them, and I'm sure you do too, they hold it in and they don't forget. And I really think that Usyk drew from that. I think he got tired of hearing about the controversy of the low blow, and I think when Dubois shoved him, I think that really lit a fire under him. Back to what you said as far as where he rates. Jack, he's 24-0. If he fights 3 years like you say, that's probably 6 fights. That gets him to 30-0. I mean, people are going to second guess his opposition, Jack, but I can see a case that when he retires, we're going to argue about, does he beat Holyfield? Does he beat Tyson? Does he beat Frazier?
We'll argue about that now, Frank. That's very arguable. That is very arguable right now. If I told you Usyk would beat the best version of Holyfield right now, okay? I mean, it would take you a little time to analyze the fight. You'd probably go back and forth. That would be my guess. But I could put Usyk in with nearly anyone. And how could you say he necessarily wouldn't beat him? How can you say with confidence?
Jackie has it all. Size, style, resume, everything. He will check every box because he will be undefeated. He will show he can fight the big guys. He can show he can adapt to all styles. And I was talking to our friend Lehman Pauly today. And Jack, I think, and he agrees with me, the guys that would give him trouble would be guys that were pressure guys, Frazier and Tyson. Never fought anybody like that, but there's none of those guys around.
Producer Brian, by the way, Teofimo Lopez Sr. needs the link. So if you could send him the link, Brian, our producer, okay? He can't find the link.
Joe, I like Holyfield over Usyk right now. I'll say that. I just think when he retires, he'll be in the second tier of the GOATs. He'll never pass Ali. He'll never pass Holmes. He'll never pass Lewis. I don't think he'll pass Foreman, but I think he'll be in the next tier. Lennox Lewis, Tyson, Holyfield, maybe Dempsey, Frazier, guys like that.
But my point is, if he does go to 30-0, and he does fight, let's say, the next 3 years or whatever, and retires unbeaten, look at all the fighters he would have beaten. That would have meant he beat Fury for a third time. He would have beaten Joseph Parker. I don't see what other heavyweight is out there. Maybe Moses Atumi, who's being developed. That would be a big, big fight. He'd end his career, with a victory in that fight. And I mean, the opposition has been good. I mean, Tyson
Jack, it has been good.
Was maybe a top 10 heavyweight of all time.
I don't know, Jack.
Maybe Trent, had he not lost to Usyk, had Tyson Fury beaten Usyk the first fight legitimately, it would have been, I'm sorry, Teo Lopez, the link. So, Frank, I want to let that producer know again. So let me hear your comment on it.
Jack, I agree, but here's the thing. Look, old George Foreman, who fought Holyfield, would have beaten Anthony Joshua, and he would beat Dubois. I don't know if he would beat Tyson Fury because of his style, but if you look at the guys Usyk's fought, look, he's fought the best, and I hate to put those guys down, but I mean, come on, what would Tyson or Lewis or Holyfield do to Anthony Joshua or Dubois, and maybe even Fury? And if you think about it, Jack, think about this. In 24 rounds against Fury and Joshua, he did not score one knockdown. Had Fury hurt, where Dubois, he stopped them both times, and I think that has a little bit with Dubois. But I'm not going to put him down. Every fight, I'm gaining more respect for him, and he's in the conversation of going down as one of the greats.
You are looking after the fact, Frank. Fury was riding high, okay? Fury was riding high at the time.
Jack, he barely beat a novice in Ngannou. How was he riding high? How was he riding high? I told you after seeing that fight, I changed my pick from Fury to Usyk after I saw Fury against Ngannou.
The Ngannou fight was a travesty, but Anthony Joshua was in top form. And don't tell me. I mean, and Dubois is a darn good fighter. Say what you want about him. He's just not on Usyk's level, but he's a pretty good fighter. He could beat most of the other heavyweights out there.
Jack, would he have beaten Foreman that fought Holyfield, Dubois?
No.
Come on, I can't believe you're thinking about it that long. Foreman would have broke him mentally and then physically.
Dubois is. You get the feeling you could break him mentally, and Foreman would be moving in on him. Even old George Foreman, who would be able to take the punches.
Is Anthony Joshua beating old George Foreman? No.
Yes, he would box him and move around.
George would not let him box the whole time.
The way Tommy Morrison did, Lou Savarese and Alex Stewart came close. Yeah, Anthony Joshua actually, I believe, would have. He was talented enough. And remember the rematch with Ruiz. He'd fight a safety first fight, Anthony Joshua.
He's not outboxing the Foreman that fought Holyfield. The Savarese version of Foreman he may outbox. But the best Foreman who Evander Holyfield fought during his comeback, and you can make a case Cooney did too, Anthony Joshua is not going to survive that Foreman. So
okay. But
I mean, let's look at it that way. His opposition is good, and he's doing what he's supposed to do.
But if Dubois, if Usyk fights 3 more years, let's forget his rating as a heavyweight. And if he fights 3 more years, 2 title defenses a year, then retires, I think he gets into the pound for pound discussion of all-time great fighters. Certainly he's top 20, maybe top 15. You could even slip him in the lower half of the top 10 if he does what we're talking about going forward for the next 3 years.
So if he beats Atua and he beats Parker and say he beats Richard Torres or Cabell.
He goes.
I don't see how that enhances his resume, Jack. His resume is going to be he beat the best guys of his time, and he's going to retire undefeated. That's what they're going to say.
But we don't see anyone out there who could beat him the next couple of years. At least he looks safe the next couple of years.
He's a very easy guy to like, Jack. He's a very easy guy to like. How you doing, Alvaro?
Evander may have beaten Usyk, but you got to keep this in mind. Usyk throws a lot of punches. He moves forward. You get the feeling Usyk could take a really good punch. You get that feeling, but who knows for sure. Usyk has endless stamina. Holyfield had great stamina and bursts. Holyfield would come on and burst. He would.
I think the difference is, Jack, is Usyk is what would concern me is Usyk is a little more consistent than Holyfield. Where if they meet at their best, if it's 90 to 93 Holyfield, I like Holyfield. But if it's Holyfield to fault Michael Moore or Lennox Lewis, I think Usyk would be probably too quick and outbox him. But the fact is this, Jack, we're talking about it, and it's not ridiculous. There may be some guys, maybe Mike Silver and Russell Peltz might think we're crazy for talking about that, but the guy checks all the boxes. And if you watch him, he can fight. He beat a guy 280, 260, and 240. He's faced different styles. The only thing we haven't seen, Jack, and there's only 4 great ones in history, we've never seen him face a sophisticated, elite attacker like a Dempsey, Marciano, Frazier, Tyson. And there's only been 4 in history, so he's never going to have to face that guy. But I think that could be a problem for him.
But he's beaten good opposition. I don't want to hear he hasn't. Say what you want about Fury. I know he had that fiasco against Nagano, a complete fiasco, but he was up for the Usyk fights. He was in great shape. He was in the best form possible, and he gave Usyk good fights, but Usyk won.
But Jack, he was in great shape enough for the fight, but when there's only so little left, what good is it? He's not the fighter he was that stopped Wilder in the rematch or the fighter that gave Klitschko an ulcer. Usyk did not fight the best Fury. Would I pick him to beat him if they fought their best? Probably, but he didn't fight the best Fury, but that's not his fault. He fought a motivated Fury, and Fury had 2 shots at him, and he didn't beat him either time. The first fight was close. The second fight, there's no way anyone could look at that fight and say that Fury won the fight.
No, I agree. So to close up on Usyk, it looks like he can go on a while. No one is going to seriously threaten him the next couple of years. I mean, I don't see who else is out there. And he'll establish himself, more so as an all-time great. But if he retired after 1 more fight, let's say beat Joseph Parker, he would fall a little short because they use a cop-out like they do at Holyfield. People don't like to rate Holyfield as a heavyweight, giving him.
They're crazy.
They don't like but they don't like to say 7, 8. So they cop out by saying, "Oh, he's the #1 cruiserweight of all time." So this way they kind of avoid it, and they might do that with Usyk as well. They might say, "Well, him and Holyfield, who is a greater cruiserweight?" That's a good argument.
That's an argument, Jack. Here's the one thing we can say for sure, and I posted this. I don't care who you are, what you think of Usyk. Usyk owns this era like Joe Louis owned his, Marciano owned his, Ali owned his, Holmes owned his, and Lennox Lewis owned his and I guess you could say the two Klitschko's own theirs. He is the best heavyweight of this era, and I would be willing to say right now, based on resume and head-to-head, I'd probably make him the favorite over anyone that's held the title since Lennox Lewis retired.
Usyk is so humble. They had one of those question and answer things. You have to give just an answer. Who do you choose? And he was the topic. So they say to Usyk, who would win between Usyk and Tyson Fury? Who is better? That was the question. He goes, Fury. Who is better, Usyk or Joshua? He says, Joshua. They say to him, who is better, Usyk or Wilder? He keeps his mouth shut. And then they're going down the list. Who is better, Usyk or Joe Frazier? He goes, Joe Frazier. Then this was revealing what I got a kick out of. After he gave a few more names, he gave them their due. They said, who's better, Vladimir Klitschko or Usyk? He goes, Vladimir Klitschko. They said, who's better, Usyk or Vitaly Klitschko? He kept his mouth shut, meaning he was better. And
I think that's a tough fight for him, actually.
And they said, who is better, you or Muhammad Ali? And he got animated. The only answer goes, Muhammad Ali. Like, what are you asking me that for? Was his question. Like, you have to like a guy like that.
I do. And him and Ali would have been an ugly fight because of style clash. All right, Jack, let's talk about Pacquiao. Did you see the fight?
Yeah. I didn't get it live pay-per-view. I saw it the next morning on YouTube, not knowing.
Did you know the result?
No, but listen,
did you score it?
Yeah, 115, 113 Pacquiao. But the picture wasn't as great and crisp on the replay on YouTube as I would have liked.
That's exactly how I saw it.
Right. But you want to know?
No, I mean, the picture wasn't great. I didn't score it, Jack. I saw it live, but the picture was a little bit fuzzy. I didn't score it. I didn't have any problem with the decision. I actually thought it was a good call because Barrios came on late. You could make a case he won the last 3 rounds. He definitely won the last 2. I think maybe Pacquiao ran out of gas a little bit. And I think that Barrios' corner did him no good by telling him to be careful and putting the seed of doubt in his head. He showed Pacquiao too much respect. But that said, Pacquiao turned the clock back. No, he's not what he was, but that was a hell of a performance for a guy that's 46 that hasn't fought in 4 years.
You said it best. It's all relative to the guy he was against. If Barrios is a belt holder, which it's a sad state of affairs in boxing to call someone like him a world champion, because he isn't a world champion. He holds a WBC title. Had Barrios been fighting, let's say, when a guy like Curtis Coates was the welterweight champion, he maybe would have cracked the top 10, 9, 10 in Ring Magazine, something like that. I could see him sneaking into the Ring Magazine ratings on the lower half of the top 10, perhaps.
He's never getting the title.
Right. No, absolutely not. Okay. He would have been a little behind the guy like a Percy Pugh or something like that. Remember the New Orleans welterweight? But it was a good performance by Pacquiao. He fought a good fighter. Barrios is still a good fighter. He's not elite, not even close, but he's a good fighter. He's a live fighter. He beat Ugas, didn't he? In his fight before, the guy who beat Pacquiao.
The guy, yep.
Pacquiao's nice performance by Manny Pacquiao.
He overachieved in my head, Jack. He did better than I thought he would do.
I thought Pacquiao was going to lose like 9 rounds to 3. I remember predicting he'd go the distance, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got stopped. Anything could happen, but I think he'll find a way to go the distance, lose a decisive decision, and it didn't, and he fought better than that.
I agree, Joe. He did. Barrios fought somewhat not to lose the fight, but here's the question, Jack. I think they're fighting again. Because Barrios is not going to beat anybody else elite. There's money. And Pacquiao's not going to take a shot with anybody else. So my question is, who has the edge in a rematch?
Barrios. You'd have to give him the edge. He's still younger. Pacquiao's only getting older. How much better can Pacquiao get, if at all?
Exactly.
I doubt he could get better. You could use the argument, well, if he sheds the rust. If Pacquiao goes back into training in 1 week and trains obsessively the next few months, works his tail off, yeah, perhaps. But the older they get, you start losing. And listen,
stylistically,
Pacquiao wasn't close. Pacquiao wasn't.
Barrios can make some adjustments this time. Pacquiao, like you said, really, I don't know if he could fight any better than he fought that night. He really did turn the clock out. Pacquiao is an all-time great generational fighter. And if you go pound for pound, he is a greater fighter than Floyd Mayweather, pound for pound.
Well, that's another argument. I have to give. I've never gave that like a great amount of thought, even though I've heard that being brought up. But the thing with Pacquiao, you kind of wonder, is he going to stop? At what point is he going to stop? I don't see him now retiring off this performance.
No.
One good thing came out of this fight, Frank. We keep hearing how corrupt boxing is, and it is. Okay, but we keep hearing it like all these bad decisions. The business of boxing would have been much better off had Pacquiao got the decision. And it just showed you the integrity of the judges, at least, the 3 judges. Who was it? Cheatham, Weisfeld, and DeLuca. Maybe I disagree with their verdict, but the integrity level, Pacquiao, if anyone was the house fight, it was certainly Pacquiao. Barrios means
I
nothing.
thought that close he was going to get the decision.
Yeah. So there wasn't any favoritism. Barrios got a completely fast shake, and the crowd wanted to see Pacquiao get the decision. And of course, Twitter lit up with all, the celebrities, big name fighters chiming in. They think Pacquiao won and this and that. And it was a close fight. Look, I thought Pacquiao edged it. You thought he edged it. We got no problem with the draw.
No, Jack, I thought a draw. I didn't score it. I didn't score it because the picture was bad, but I thought a draw was a good call. I wasn't really sure how I would have scored it, but I don't have if they would have given it to Pacquiao, I wouldn't have had a problem. If they gave it to Barrios, I wouldn't have had a problem.
I'm going to tell you, mentioned the last 3 rounds. All 3 judges gave him the last 3 rounds. The 10th round was debatable. I thought Manny.
That was the debatable one for me too.
That was a debatable round. 11 and 12. Yeah, Barrios won. So if I had to watch it over, maybe I'd say, okay, maybe Barrios won the 10th round and the judges got it right. Now,
and of the 2, then Pacquiao was hurt the most in the 7th round. There was one round where he really was rocked.
Yeah, I didn't think he was in any.
Barrios was never close to being in trouble.
No, but Barrios is ordinary. He's a good, solid fighter, not anywhere close to being elite. And
now, Jack, there's nothing big coming up.
Wait. I just want to mention the main supporting fight, Sebastian Fundora over Tim Tszyu. Okay, that took place. Nice win for Fundora, stopping Tim Tszyu. I want to give a lot of credit to Tszyu's corner for stopping it at the right time. Even though Tszyu was punching back in that last round and had some success, he was entering a danger zone. Rumor has it that Tszyu said he'd had enough. If he did, big respect to Tim Tszyu if he pulled himself out of that fight. I don't want to hear this Warriors, this and that, because Tszyu gave it all he had in that ring. We don't expect him to, put his life in danger. We don't.
Jack, I think he's a little bit washed, came into that fight that way, but he gave it all he had. But, Jack, you had to feel sorry for him. How do you fight Fundora? The guy is a giant.
Right. We're gonna bring Teofimo Lopez Sr. into the studio right now, Frank. Sorry I cut off. He was in
okay, no problem.
Okay, so there's the man. It's Senior, I call you Senior, not Junior. Wait, is that Junior? I was expecting.
This is Junior, baby.
This is Junior. This is the man. This is the man. Okay,
you call me the Takeover.
The Takeover himself. Your dad said he might be coming on. I was expecting him, and I said, "Darn it! I know Tio Senior keeps in great shape. I didn't think he looked that young." Tio, this is my co-host Frank Laterzo. He's a Philadelphia guy. Now, I got to tell you up front with my co-host, He is a big Boots Ennis supporter. I'm a big Teofimo Lopez Jr. supporter. And I was arguing in the past show when Boots Ennis was saying that no one wants to fight him. And you called him out. And he backed out. He wanted no part of you. And my co-host didn't know what to say about it, but he did give you his due on a past show. He said he admired that you called out Boots Ennis. What do you have to say about that?
We not only called them out. I know we was offered $11.5 million for that fight. He said yes on Friday. We were so happy. Me and my son started jumping up and down. You know, it's a fight that we thought we could win easily. Being that my son has a speed nobody has right now in the world. We thought we could take him. My son only goes for greatness. The only two people he wanted was Terence Crawford and Boots Ennis. When that fight was made on Friday, he's about to sign on Saturday. He pulled out the fight. He came out on national TV on videos out there, which you could look for those videos, and where he says he had to look after his health. You know, he said that he wants to come into a fight knowing 100% he's going to win. You know, I was in shock. I could not believe it. He said no on Saturday. Everything just went down the drain from there on. My son would have been fighting right now in September, you know, against Boots, a humongous fight.
Where would it have taken place, that fight, if it did happen, when you were talking about it?
They wanted to do it in Saudi. You know,
Mr. Lopez, don't be such a nice guy, because I want to go at it with you and you're being too nice of a guy. And all I hear is what a nice guy you are. So I'm going to ease into this. Okay. Crawford is fighting Canelo.
Yes.
The fact that he's fighting Canelo, it's probably the biggest money fight for him that he could make. He has the best shot as far as risk reward. If he beats Canelo, that pretty much tops his career off. If he fights your son and beats your son, they will say that he's a weight bully. And it's not going to be for as much money. So do you think that he's really afraid of him, or we know this is a business and he may make $50 million fighting Canelo? What do you say to that?
This was before everybody thought he was crazy. You know, fighting Canelo. We've been calling this guy out for years. When my son wanted to fight him, the Canelo fight wasn't made. You understand? The world, nobody thought that this was going to happen. You know? Everybody
but at this time, though, Bud is fighting for his legacy and the big money fights. And if he fights your son, he has no upside. And I think your son is outstanding.
Wait a minute. My son is a two-time lineal champion. Two-time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just like Crawford.
Yeah.
And we did it 11 years earlier.
Okay. But Crawford is undefeated. You know how that carries today. And people could say back, well, you know what?
But you know what? You know what? How did Kambosos look against everybody else? My son fought with no air for 12 rounds. I wanted to stop that fight 4 times, and he said no. He almost died for that. He almost died. He was in the hospital 2 months. He had a hole. He had a hole in his esophagus. He had a hole in his chest. That means that all the air that he was breathing in was coming out, going through his esophagus to his brain.
You know that, and now I know that. But the fans look at that as a loss, though.
But and you have never ever seen my son fight aggressive for 12 rounds. He's a technician, but the first round he told me, Dad, I can't box. I got to take that guy out of there because I can't breathe. The more aggressive I get, the less pain I feel. People don't talk about that. There was a
You're right.
there was a documentary with Mark Rigo and the doctor saying that this kid comes from God because they cannot believe with his situation, because it's a situation. It's a, I don't know what they call it, that you can't even walk, let alone fight strong for 12 rounds. You know, but nobody mentions that. They just said that he lost.
Okay, you're right. But remember something though. And all you say, I have no doubt that that's the way it is. That's a reality. But we live in a world today that mainly because of Floyd Mayweather, okay, everybody is consumed with the O. And if you're a guy like Crawford and everything, all the things that were going on with Timo,
he has fought.
In all honesty,
you got
what's that?
Who he has fought?
Who?
Crawford.
Wait, let me put it this way.
His resume sucks.
Name one fighter who has as big a win as Teofimo Lopez, who had defeated Vasily Lomachenko.
When he beat him, that was one of the best wins.
But does any other fighter in the world today have a win that big over someone?
And he was a baby.
Think of it. And then the victory over Josh Taylor to unify all
another outstanding, and he beat the crap out of Josh Taylor. I didn't see that coming. I got to give you that.
32 fights. The only question I have with Tio Jr., he could sometimes be a little inconsistent in certain fights. You know, he does enough to win, like against Sander Martin, Jermaine Ortiz, but guys who move around the ring, he gets a little complacent, I think, at times. Like, it reminds me a little of the way the great Emil Griffith was in the past. You know,
let me ask you a question. Did you see Dan Martin's last fight with Puello?
Who's fight?
What?
San Martin, his last fight. Did you see
I
him?
didn't see it.
Well, San Martin does not fight the way he fought my son. He goes toe to toe. For some reason, my son,
he beat Garcia. That's a big win.
Yeah, but for some reason, these guys don't want to fight my son when they feel the power. They start running. Okay.
I thought with Boots, that's why I thought Boots could be a great fight for you guys, because I think Boots would engage in the old Teofimo Lopez would come out getting off his hard punches. Didn't think he'd have to search for Boots the same way, you know, because Boots would be hittable.
Yeah. Jermaine Ortiz tried to fight the first round. My son hit him with a 2 to the body, and he went running. You know, that's not boxing. You know, boxing is moving, throwing jabs every other 2-3 seconds. You know, Jermaine Ortiz was just putting that left hand up and just moving. You understand? But you know, you're not gonna win fights like that.
Teofimo, I'm going to play devil's advocate again, and don't take this personal. But Tio has scored no knockouts in his last 5 fights. So when you try to tell the fans that he has a shot to hurt Boots or Bud, they're going to laugh. They're going to say he hasn't knocked anybody out at 140.
No. You got it all wrong. He's entertaining the crowd in there. He gets too emotional. He tries to make the crowd happy. When he wants to take the guy out, it's too late. You know, and we're working on that. I told him, listen, everybody want to see knockouts. You know, you got to stop.
I was just going to say that. You're right.
He just gets in the moment where he just want to box and look amazing. You know, he did that with Barbosa's. A guy 32-0 that had just beaten Catterall, had just beaten Ramirez. A very dangerous guy.
Doesn't he understand, though, after the way he put Comey out, how he was the hottest fighter in the sport because of that picturesque knockout? And that's what people want to see.
He's not letting go of his punches. He's not fighting with the will to try to knock you out. He has it in him, and that's what we're working on. But he likes to
All right.
showboat.
Well,
You know,
but
he
even in
likes to showboat.
the
He
last
likes to
fight
showboat
against
too much.
Barboza, he was letting go with hard punches, but Barboza did not make the full commitment to fight. He cautiously moved in, would back off, and Barboza was, you know, he was trying to maybe steal some rounds, but he was losing these rounds by a wide
And he
margin.
was trying to
for the most
survive to
part.
go the distance, and it's
Right,
hard to
right,
knock
no.
a guy out when he's doing that.
It wasn't the
Exactly.
normal Arnold Barboza keeps moving in, and he wasn't
I'll tell
there.
you
He was-
something. I'll tell you something. If he was to fight Matias, trust me, there'll be a knockout.
Speaking of his next fight, okay, I know you were looking at the different options, and certain fights didn't quite come through. I know at one point you were hoping Ryan Garcia and him would get together because that would be entertaining.
I would
for all the
love to see
smack
that
talk,
fight.
For all the talk beforehand. Is Keel going to fight at 147? That's what I want to know. 140, 147, or what?
He's at 140 right now or 147. Either
So
or.
the option of going both ways. Now, you were at the MGM to see Pacquiao fight Barrios, correct? This past weekend?
Yes. Yes.
You were there. Okay.
Yes.
You were there, I guess, as more than just a fan. You were doing a little scouting, maybe hoping Manny won and then would fight Tio next. That had to be on your mind.
Yes. Yes.
What did you think of the decision, first of all?
Horrible.
You thought it was
Horrible.
that bad?
I thought the person that was in there willing to fight, wanted to fight, looked like the Predator was Manny Pacquiao. I didn't see anything that Barrios was doing there.
He
looked
showed him too
scared.
much respect.
He looked-
I totally agree with
He
that.
looked scared. He didn't want to commit. Manny must have hurt him with the left during the night. He felt the power and just wanted to win by just being boring and not trying to commit, throwing the jab, thinking that he could win by just throwing the jab. I just saw a more aggressive Manny Pacquiao. To tell you the truth, I didn't think I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that 7th round where Manny was gonna fall and start losing that movement or get a second wind. And he did. And I was surprised. I'm like, this man is like 46, right?
Yeah.
16
I
years
think he got a
older.
little tired at the end, though, and that's what opened the door for them to call it a draw. I had a bad feed. I didn't score it round by round. I really didn't have a problem with the decision. I thought it could have gone either way. I just think if Manny could have got the 11th or the 12th round, he would have clearly won the fight.
Yeah, but the way I look at fights is like I see the other person is not trying to commit, not trying to take the fight. Especially those 2 last championship rounds are very important. And I didn't see a change in Barrios at all. Yeah, I mean,
See, I thought he fought more assertive. I think he should have fought that way in the earlier stages of the fight.
exactly.
Right,
But
yeah, the draw wasn't good for business because I don't think anyone's really that interested in the Pacquiao Barrios rematch, even though it's
I think it would sell,
possible.
Jack. I think it would
Okay,
sell.
maybe, but where does that leave, as far as going forward, for Teofimo Lopez, who's there to fight? I know there's several possible options there, but it's all over the place. It's not so simple to just pick a big name.
I mean, we could fight Pitbull, we could fight Matias, we could fight Ryan, we could fight
You can, but realistically, what might be in the works?
we wanted to fight Kambosos for the rematch, but he ain't vouching. He
He's
wants
not winning
to keep
either.
that. He wants to keep that win. He beat Teofimo Lopez, That's the
Oh, that-
only thing that he has in his record.
Right, but if the money is good enough, I mean,
He won't do it.
you still think he wouldn't do it?
He won't do it. We've been trying to get this guy for like 3 years already. Since
Did
the
Lomachenko, after you beat Lomachenko, did he ever reach out as people for a rematch? What was the deal on that?
no, never. Never. You know, we beat this guy. I mean, one of the judges had him winning 11-1.
I didn't
Which-
think he won
which
that
was the
wide.
woman.
That was a little
Yeah,
too
yeah.
wide. Truly let him in. That was too
But
wide. I'm
yeah,
sorry,
but-
a little too wide.
Yeah, but you had then the other scorecard was 9-3, and I think that was the lowest one. I mean, to me, I didn't see Loma coming in until the 9th round. You know,
because,
You know.
and I said this then, and again, I want to fight with you, but I'm having a hard time. Lomachenko was awed by Tio in them first 5 or 6 rounds. And you could tell that he was not taking his chances and he was only letting his hands go when he thought it was safe. And then by the 7th or the 8th round, he realized, okay, I'm going to lose this fight. Now I have to fight because it's a matter of my career and my title. Then he got the gumption to go in. But I had said to everybody at the time, and again, I want to pick a fight with you, and it's a little hard right now, that
He likes you, Tio, my co-host. He doesn't want to.
Lopez, no, but your son, he was awed by your son. And I hate to call any fighter afraid or scared, but he was fighting very tentative until the fight was gone. And then when his back was against the wall, then he picked it up. He made it a little closer, but then your son took a stand in the 11th or the 12th round in case they were going to try anything funny. He took that off the table.
Well, I'm going to tell
Exactly.
you, you deserve a lot of credit because you set the blueprint up as his trainer. We keep saying your son, but you're his trainer.
We took away the best thing that Lomachenko does, and that's stepping to his right. I told my son every time he steps
And
to
you
the
made
right,
him back up too. He don't like to back
Yeah.
up.
I told my son every time he steps to the right, hit him with a left hook, or just size him, you know. So when he turns to the left, to the right, he won't have you. You won't be close enough for him to throw those combinations that he throws when he moves to the right. And by the time you turn around, he's all over your face. So we worked on that. I always work on people's best, you know, the best things that they do in the ring. I work on that, and I take it away.
Let me ask you this. First, I'm going to say stay away from Boots. But if you get the fight, if you care about, what do you think? What's his weakness? What's his weakness, Tio?
His weakness is
He's
that
a silly guy, Frank.
my son does not miss, and my son is too fast for him.
What's Boots' weakness?
He's too slow. He's too slow.
All around, or with his
you know-
hands or his feet or his brain?
I mean, he's an average. He's a little bit faster than any other fighter, but not as fast as my son. You know, and my son, when he's fighting in there, he's not just throwing punches. He's like a computer. He's seeing everything you're doing. Where after the second or third round, just like Floyd, he figures you out. You understand? And the quickness, the inside and out, the head movement. We changed a lot of things, by the way. You know, I got Milton LaCourse as my assistant coach. You have never seen Teofimo fight the way he fought Kambosos. He was never there in the pocket. He was always in.
You don't think Boots is too big for your son?
No.
Boots is a bigger guy.
5 years ago, I said it. I used to put my son in there with monsters at 13. He was beating up world champions, beating them up. You know, he beat the shit out of Sean Porter at 17, you know, and he was like 20 something pounds bigger than my son. He beat all of his camp. And I always told him, you're going to be the only one that's going to be able to move up all the way up to like 160.
You think that's a
Because he could
ceiling,
take a
160?
punch. One thing in this game, you have to have a punch and you have to have a chin.
Exactly.
I got a
And
fight
that's
for
why,
you, too.
that's why Canelo has made it. You know? Plus, then he has all that special effects, you know? So I told my son, out of everybody else, you're going to be the only one that makes it. Shakur is still at 135. He can't move to 140. He's not even doing good at 135.
He
You know the
talked
fight
about
that would be a
fighting Conor
blockbuster?
Benn.
You know, he doesn't have a fight.
I got a great fight for you that you haven't even talked about. You haven't even mentioned. Why not Tio against the towering inferno, Sebastian Bondura? Let him move up to junior middleweight.
Oh, Jack,
that's
come
right.
on.
You
He
know,
would chop him down. He would knock him out.
wait a minute. My son beat Sebastian in the Nationals. I believe it was in Washington. He stopped him because he broke his nose.
There you go,
Okay.
Frank.
Was
And
he
was
6'5"
tall.
then?
Yes, he was tall. You know, he grew. My son looked like a midget next to him. You know,
The
and,
fight for you guys is Ryan Garcia for all the reasons in the world. That promotion would be off the hook. Ryan would play. He'd be the bad guy.
Well,
What's that? I'd
I would
love to
love
see
Ryan
that fight.
Garcia.
I would
love
love
Ryan
that
Garcia.
fight. And I would
That's
pick
the
you guys
fight.
to beat him.
That's the fight that has
That's
to
the
be
fight.
made.
Yes.
There's
That's
a
the fight.
mystery. There's a mystery I want you to unlock because no one's really talked about it. For a little while last year, you hooked up with the Canelo Alvarez camp, figuring being around Canelo and all, it's good atmosphere, big name fighter, and it didn't last. What's
Thank
the story
God.
behind that?
That was God. That was God. Thank God. Because my son would have never looked the way he did when he fought Barbosa's.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
expand on it a little. No, I don't know what you're saying here. I'll expand. Tell us the
Okay.
reasons why.
Okay. Eddie
I
Reynoso
know
is
the
a
reason
great
why.
trainer. Eddie Reynoso is a great trainer, but he was not going to make my son move around the way he did in that fight. Milton LaCroix helped me with the leg movement, with the everything that you've seen in there. Nobody has ever seen my son fight like that, and that's only the first time. You know, he's just going to get better in the second time. We changed our program. We're doing things different, you know, because I realized that when my son is very healthy, he feels like he could do anything in that ring. And, you know, with me adding Milton LaCroix into the equation, you know, because Milton LaCroix teaches you how to be a slick boxer. And he started my son at 6.5 years old and up to like maybe 10, 11. We had a little bit of a shake off and I had to get rid of him. And me and my son started thinking, you know, because, you know, once Canelo turned us down, I told my son, why don't we get Milton? Because Milton did a session with him and I saw how different he looked with Milton doing pads. He didn't look tight, you know. He looked just smooth. So I said, I think this would be a great idea. And look what happened. You know, I have never seen him fight that great in my life. You know, he listened to the instructions. He never stopped throwing that jab. He was in and out. By the time Barbosa threw a punch, he was timing the punches. He was catching, shooting. I mean, it was like people don't see the art. You got to see what he's doing in there. He's showing you things that nobody does. It's not like he's just throwing punches. He's setting you up. You know.
No, he's a skilled fighter. That's why I want to see him and Garcia.
Exactly. That would be a great fight. I mean, this kid is hitting you from 8 feet away, and then
would there be a possibility of, let's say, I'm just brainstorming. If Conor Benn beats Chris Eubank in the rematch,
there you go. That could be a good fight.
To England, maybe Wembley Stadium. You know, massive atmosphere. Fight Conor Benn. I mean,
my son has mentioned that.
Yeah, there you go.
My son has mentioned that he'll fight Conor Benn. I'm telling you, and it will look like when Floyd fought what was that guy's name? I think he was Italian. I mean, he outboxed the hell out of him.
Gatti.
Gotti.
There you go, Gotti.
Yeah.
It would look like that, you know, because of the speed.
Well, I like the idea.
I mean, the bigger, you guys, I don't understand. The bigger the guy, the better it is for us because they're slower. And my son carries a punch to make them respect them. He also could take a shot. My son's never been hurt in a fight, never been wobbled.
So tell me what
he had a flash knockdown. He had a flash knockdown with convulsions because of his condition. You know,
Theo. It's against Boots. Does your son win on points and knockout? How would you see it ending?
I see my son winning, no matter on decision, or he could get tagged because Boots comes to fight. You know, and I noticed that Boots, one thing that Boots does not like is looking ridiculous inside there in that ring. So he will commit, you know.
Boots is hittable. I'll give you that. But I think his offense is really good. Stay away from Boots, Theo.
Nah, you got it wrong. You got it wrong.
Right.
You guys are about to see it. My son is only 27.
Theo, I think at this
He's got 10 more years of this.
If a guy is a runner, I think you'll keep away from him going forward. You don't want those type of opponents.
We already worked on that. And I told my son, when they start doing that, just go right straight to them. They can't hurt you.
Theo, let me ask you a question you're going to be asked 1,000 times that doesn't pertain to what you're doing. Who do you give the edge to, Crawford or Canelo?
Canelo.
Canelo?
It's ridiculous. You know, I texted Crawford and I told him, I see them legs going, buddy. I see them legs going. You look terrible in your last fight. And now you want to fight a guy that could take a punch and could hurt you. I see it going the way the Charlo fight went. That's what I see it. I see Crawford surviving for 7-8 rounds and getting dropped.
Yeah, we have only a couple of minutes before we then have to end the show. So in closing, when's Theo's next fight going to be?
That's what we're trying to work on. You know, this kid is one of the best fighters in the world. He's not even in the pound for pound list, which is disgusting. He's the only one with the only two-time lineal champion with Crawford. You know, two-time Ring Magazine champion at 135, 140.
And that's the problem with boxing today.
You couldn't even call him undisputed because he beat Josh Taylor. Nobody had beaten Josh Taylor. He had all the belts. He let them go.
Yeah.
That's the problem with boxing today, is that it takes so much to make a fight. I agree. Your kid's a star in the making, but he's got to get exposure. And that's one of the hardest things.
Yeah, they just don't like him.
Yeah.
You know,
and if they don't like you,
how you going to put Gervonta Davis?
And I just want to close before we get off. The images of the Lopezes might be that they're villains at times, but that's not the real them. Father and son are great guys behind the scenes. Really great
exactly
guys. Good guys.
I
but
thought you were going to be
outwardly the
confrontational,
public,
Tio, and I'm
they
ready
put on
for
that
the fight.
little
You come on
act
and
that
charm
they're
me.
villain. It's all an act. That's not the real them. They're really great guys.
I know what I have. I don't care what anybody says.
Get
And he has
exposure
proven
and
it.
get the Garcia fight.
Well,
And you
He
guys
has
will be.
proven it.
Thanks a lot.
He has
Theo,
proven it. How many more times can he prove it?
Right.
He goes for the hardest
Okay.
fights.
We got to get off.
Yo,
Theo,
nobody listen to me.
Our producer
Listen to me.
wants us
They had 21 experts. They asked them,
Yeah.
who you think is going to win, Josh Taylor or Teofimo Lopez? Everybody went for Josh Taylor.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you for
guys.
coming on. It
Thanks
was
a lot,
fun.
Theo. Thanks for coming on. You're a great guest, and we'll see everyone out there next week. Very lively, great week. Of
Good luck to you.
Theo. Good luck. Thanks.
Thank you
Theo.
so much for having me. I appreciate
Good
it.
luck to you.
The
Good
takeover.
luck.
We just started. We got 10 more years of this. 10 more years.
All right, brother.
Crawford is in his way out. Canelo's in his way out. You know, who else we have?
We got. Theo, we want you to come on in the future. Next time you bring your son on, we want both of you on together. We'll do.
I only talk the truth.
Okay.
I only lie to my
Good
wife.
night. Okay, good night.
Take care.
Take care.